It is especially worth noting the various psychological complexes of people. The inferiority complex: I'm not attractive, I have no abilities or talents, I lack intelligence or wit, I can't communicate with people, I am unworthy. The guilt complex: I did something wrong, everyone condemns me, and I must carry my cross. The warrior complex: I must be tough, I declare war on myself and on everyone around me, I will fight for my place under the sun and take what's mine by force. The truth complex: I will prove my rightness at any cost and show others that they are wrong. These and other complexes are personal keys to an individual's energy. By touching a person's sore spots, a pendulum intensely drains their energy. You can easily continue the list of strings that pendulums pull on their puppets: justice, pride, vanity, honor, love, hatred, greed, generosity, curiosity, interest, hunger, and many other feelings and needs. Emotions and interest allow thought flows to be fixed in a certain direction. If a topic does not evoke interest or emotion, it is very hard to focus on it. This is why pendulums capture the flow of thoughts by stirring up emotions and needs. Usually, people respond in a standard way to negative external stimuli. Negative news brings dissatisfaction. Alarming news brings anxiety or fear. Offense brings resentment, and so on. Habits act as a trigger for this capture mechanism. For example, the habit of getting irritated or worried over little things, of reacting to provocations, in short, of responding negatively to negative irritants. A person may understand that negative thoughts and actions bring nothing good, but still, out of habit, repeats the same old mistakes. Thus, habits often create problems and force us to act ineffectively while being very hard to get rid of. Habits are an illusion of comfort. A person trusts what is familiar, while everything new seems suspicious. The old and familiar has proven itself through experience, like an old armchair you relax in after work. The new may be better and more comfortable, but the old feels familiar and safe. Comfort is characterized by such notions as convenience, trust, positive experience, and predictability. The new has these qualities to a much lesser degree, and it takes time for a new habit to become the old one. At the same time, one should not recklessly confront a pendulum that has nothing to lose. If you are attacked with the intent to rob you, it is better to give up your money right away. Some people even carry a small amount of cash for such cases. If the robber is a drug addict or mentally unstable, they could easily take your life, even if you are a martial arts master. Therefore, it is wiser not to engage, just as you wouldn't provoke a rabid dog. Otherwise, your death would be meaningless. Neutralization can be helped by humor and imagination. Turn irritation into a game. For example, if you are annoyed by crowds of people rushing and blocking your way, imagine you were in Antarctica at a bird market and the people are penguins waddling around comically. You're just another penguin, too. After such a mental shift, they evoke more curiosity and sympathy than irritation. Of course, it's difficult to control yourself when you feel like exploding. In those moments, it's hardest to remember that it is only the pendulum trying to drain your energy. Don't give in to its provocations. The pendulum, like a vampire, uses anesthesia, your own habit of responding negatively to irritants. Even now, after reading these words, in a few minutes you might answer an unwanted phone call irritably, but if you set yourself the goal of forming a new habit of awareness, over time you will build immunity to pendulum provocations. Notice that when you face an unpleasant circumstance and react with irritation, dissatisfaction, or negative emotions, a continuation of the negative situation usually follows or new problems appear. This is how the pendulum swings, and it's you who swings it. Do the opposite. Either don't react at all or react in an unusual way. For example, meet the problem with exaggerated enthusiasm or even ridiculous delight. This is pendulum neutralization. You'll see there will be no continuation. Simple solutions to complex problems. Another practical benefit of pendulum neutralization is the ability to solve all sorts of problems, whether a difficult life situation, a conflict, unfavorable circumstances, or simply a task. For every complex problem, there exists a simple solution. The key always lies on the surface. The only question is how to see it. What prevents us from seeing it is the pendulum that created the problem. A destructive pendulum aims to extract energy from you. To do this, it must lock the frequency of your thoughts onto the problem. The simplest way to achieve this is to convince you that the problem is complex. If you accept those rules of the game, you can be easily led by the hand into a tangled labyrinth. Only later do you realize that the lock had a simple key all along. If a person is frightened, worried, or made to feel guilty, or if the pendulum plays on their complexes, they quickly accept the idea that the problem is difficult and get hooked. But pendulums don't always need to scare you. For many problems, society already holds the belief that there are no simple solutions. Throughout life, everyone constantly faces challenges, especially when encountering something new or unfamiliar. As a result, people develop a deeply ingrained habit of approaching problems with anxiety, sometimes even with reverent fear. At the same time, they weigh their own abilities on the scales of doubt. This tendency to fear problems becomes another puppet string. A pendulum can act both through its followers and through inanimate objects. It fixes the frequency of mental energy on a certain range and drains energy while the person is burdened by the problem. It may seem that focusing your thoughts on a problem helps solve it, but in reality, the pendulum restricts thinking to a very narrow segment of the information field, while the solution may lie outside that segment. As a result, the person thinks and acts within a narrow corridor, unable to see the bigger picture. Non-standard, intuitive solutions come only when the person frees themselves from the pendulum and gains the freedom to think in another direction.